This video has really nothing to do with the course, but it has a lot to do with Python and probably a little bit of understanding for yourselves at home if you want to do a bit more work with Python. I'm going to close the shell down and the main program down. Now I'm going to look at the files if I can find them. Here we go. And I want you to notice one thing. My library, which we created, all we've been doing at the moment is saving these, the ones with the little Python icon next to it, little thumbnail. But I seem to have a new one. It's a compiled Python program. Now, if I try to open that, well, I basically can't from Python. Let's see if I can get Python up and running and see if I can open that. If I try to open that particular file, let's go to where I've saved it. Python files, mini project, here we go. Notice that the compiled file isn't there. So if I chuck this on the screen again, these are our files. We've got all Minitask1 right the way down to my main. We've got exactly the same thing, but we've got the my library, but we don't see that compiled Python file. Now that we can't see what it is. We got no chance. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to see if I can start Notepad. There we go, Notepad++. And I'm going to take a look at the contents of these two files. No, I don't want to download you, and cancel you, and close you, and close you, and close you. Oh, no, I don't want to exit. So, file, go away. File, open. I'm going to open both of those library files. So where are we? API programming, that's no good. Let's go here. Python files, mini project. It's going to show me all of them. I'm using Notepad++, which is an absolutely superb piece of programming if you want to look at it. I'm going to open my library and you'll see that we've got all of the code that we did, and I'm going to open the my library compiled file, and whoa, there you go, that's what it looks like. It's been compiled into sort of a machine code. It's got a PYC extension on it, and there is no way that you can look at that and see that code. So in other words, if you write a program yourself and you want to sell it and you don't want people to go in and change your program or nick it, then you would have a compiled file. Okay, so you would make a library and you would import it. The minute that you imported it, it creates this compiled program. Now, what is the use of that? Well, you can hand out your main program and your library compiled file, not the actual coding file. So if I went back to here and created a new folder, my game, for example, all I would need to do with that is, let's copy that and put it in my game, go back to mini project, copy that and put it into my game. So I would just give out the main program, which would have so little code in it would be useless to anybody who wanted to see your code and change it. But it is the main program that imports my library and uses it, but we don't need to give out the code. Okay, we can keep our code secret, nobody can see it. It's perfect and it will work. So if I can run from this my game folder this file, it should use that and work nicely. So if I choose File, Open, go into my game, there we go, and open up my, there we go, it's the my main.py, and run it, and it will use the library that we presented. So these are the two files that you would give away. The library files compiled so that nobody can read your code, and your main program containing just this. Nobody's got any clue how you wrote any of these. They just need to know how to use them. Why is that important? Well, if you're at home and you want to do things and you get into Python, there are lots of libraries that you can download. For example, there's Pygame or tkinter. They're all libraries that you can just import into your own programs and use, but you can't see the code to change them. Okay, so that's how people give out their programs. In fact, it works not just in Python, just about any programming language there is. You don't get the source code. You only get a little bit of code, enough to run, and then you are told how to use the libraries. Okay, and that's exactly what happens when you go online and you sort of search for Python libraries. Let's look at Pygame. Pygame library functions. You get the documentation, which is why it's important to keep the documentation, and then it gives you all the functions that you can use. These are sort of like the functions that you're using. If you remember, you did my library dot get something. It's exactly what you've got, and then it tells you how to use them in your program. So you would create your library, then you would create some documentation that went with your library. If you do that in your coursework, then you are really heading for the 9, most definitely. This is really top-notch stuff, and you should get used to using it. So libraries are the way to go, and documentation also. So that's it for this video and these set of tasks. The set of tasks are building towards our binary calculator, so the next set of tasks will introduce some sort of string manipulation for you to play around with the strings so that we can perform binary calculations.